Greetings, COM 111 students. This is Brennan. Talking about public speaking today. And today I want to talk to you about what we call researching your topic. One of the things, when you get your topic and you start to do this thing called research, and I know every time students hear the R word for research, they think, oh, I don't want to have to do this. But the reality is, all research is the gathering of evidence and arguments you will need to understand, develop, and help explain your topic. You are the instrument of interpretation. I tell students, I can give you all the same topic, but you're not all going to write the exact same speech, because each and every one of you, when you go do that research, you're the instrument of interpretation, and you will interpret things much differently. So remember, all research is the gathering of arguments and evidence to help you to develop, understand, and explain your topic. Now, in this process, the very first thing you need to do, once you've gotten your topic and you've narrowed it down, you want to assess your own personal knowledge. Know what you know, and know what you don't know. And when you know what you know, and you know what you don't know, you now know what you need to go and find out. That's why if you can talk about something that you already know a lot about, when you go to assess your personal knowledge, you yourself will be a wealth of information. When you discover what you know and what you don't know and what you need to go and find out, then the next thing you do is you develop a research plan. 4 things you want to do. First, what information is needed? And you got that from not only assessing your personal knowledge, but discovering what you still have yet to find out. Second, where can you find that information? It might be on the internet, it might be in the library, it might be even interviewing individuals that you know. How can I obtain this information? Do I need to go find it at the library and get an interlibrary loan? Again, can I just find everything on the internet? Finally, how will time affect my research? We know that in college there are 2 types of students, the plotters and the grandstanders. The plotters are those who measure things out in days, weeks, and months, and they might say, oh, today is, whatever the date is, my assignment is due in 10 days, here's what I need to plot out every day to get ready by then. And then there are those who are what we call grandstanders, who wait until either 2 days before, or certainly the night before, the assignment is due, and they measure everything out in seconds, minutes, and hours. Nothing wrong with being a plotter or a grandstander. It's just the difference in how we use time. Studies have shown that there's no real difference between success. Just know how time affects how you're going to do your research. So where can you collect this information? Well, the internet, and maybe most of you will get your information from the internet. And it's great that our fingers can do the walking as it does the research. Just make sure that the internet sites that you use are credible. Second, you can go to the library, and in the library you'll find magazines and journals. You'll find databases like EBSCOhost and many others. And of course, you can find newspapers. The thing to recognize about newspapers is that they have been around as long as our country has been. We have been writing newspapers for decades. And if you think about news, standing for North, East, West, and South, getting our information from the 4 corners of the globe, these newspapers give us a plethora of information. You can also check out government documents, books, reference works, And yes, we're even into the technological age where students are using video clips, audio clips from television, radio, movies, and even, of course, YouTube. Nothing wrong, but one thing about if you use any kind of video or audio clips, I tell students no more than 15 seconds of any kind of an audio or a video clip per main point. I don't want to see students pop in a video, we watch it for 5 minutes, and then they say, well, that's my speech. No, it doesn't work that way. Last but not least are interviews. You might know individuals that know a lot about your topic, so you can set up an interview with them. Once you've gathered your information, you want to start organizing your speech. So once I've gotten my array of information and I start to organize it through that tool known as an outline, we do know that all speeches must have the Aristotelian 3 components: introduction, body, conclusion. We write the body first. Second is the introduction. Finally is the conclusion. Now, when we go to write the body or develop the body, we're going to first start to organize it through the form of outlining. And we had talked in another video on topic selection that as we start to organize that information, we can do it in the working outline, a formal outline, and then ultimately a speaker's outline. Look to the textbook to see the whole chapter on outlining and how to do this. Having done this, we know that when we go and we are writing the main points to our speech, we know that if you want to have depth, you want to have no more than 2 main points for depth. If you want to have breadth, you can have 5 main points. But most speeches have what we call the Aristotelian 3. Aristotle believed that 2 main points was too little, and anything over 3 was too much. So most speeches have 3 main points. As you're writing your main points, most of the time the order will unfold naturally for you. But there are times where you can choose. So you have basically 5 different ways you can order your main points. The first one is topical. So if I was going to inform you about the 3 motive appeals used in advertising, sex, love, and fear, I can organize those in any way I want. I can put fear, love, sex, love, fear. I can order those in any order I want topically, and you will still get the 3 motive appeals used in advertising. But again, Aristotle said put the strongest first, second strongest last, weakest one in the middle. A second way you can order your main points is chronological. These are seen more in the how-to speeches. Today I'm going to inform you on how to change a flat tire. So there's something you have to do first. That goes to something second. That goes to something third. And there is a sequence or a chronological ordering. A third way you can order your main points is spatial division. This is where, let's say I want to take you on an imaginary tour of Portland, Oregon. I might take you over to see Pioneer Square. I might take you to Saturday's Market. And then I might take you to Powell Books. I'm taking you from one geographical location or space, and that's dividing your points up geographically. Fourth is cause and effect. And I could flip that if I want, effect and cause. It depends on which order and time I want to go. So if I'm trying to tell you that if I do this, cause, here's what's going to happen later. That's telling you what's going to happen today that will impact me tomorrow. If I'm showing you, here's what impacted me, let's go back in time to see the cause. Does that make sense? Cause and effect goes from today into tomorrow. Effect and cause goes from today into the past. Last but not least is pro and con, or con and pro, whichever way you'd like to order your main points. No matter how you are ordering your 3 main points, all main points need to be developed with what we call supporting material. It's also called rhetorical devices, and here's all of them. Visual aids are usually discovered as you're doing research. You might come across an image where you think this would make a good visual aid. Think about size, quality, and of course, overall appropriateness. And I really have to stress that appropriateness. I had a student years ago that wanted to inform the audience about toys. And I thought she was going to be talking about child toys like G.I. Joe dolls and Barbie dolls and so on. But she was giving us an informative speech on adult toys because she worked at a place called Spartacus in downtown Portland, which was and still is an adult toy store. And it was an education. Not very appropriate, but it was an education. Examples, stories, comparisons, contrasts, statistics, quotations, definitions, all are found in the research that you're doing. Think of research like a menu that you get at a restaurant. Not everyone picks the same thing to consume. That's why researchers are instruments of interpretation. You're going to pick and choose how you want to support your speech. And then last but not least, as I said, was interviews that I mentioned earlier. Now, when writing the body of the speech, use language that you're familiar with. Use very vivid language. Use language that will help paint a picture, whether it's sensory descriptions, stories. Everyone loves little stories. Every once in a while when I'm lecturing, I'll put a little story in here or there, much like I did with the student who showed the adult toys just a few moments ago. Use metaphors, personifications, anything that can help the audience recall and connect to your topic to the best of your ability. Use transition statements to move from one main point to another. You can do something as generic as, let's turn to my next point. Or you can do something that's more topic specific, like this one here. Here was a student who gave a speech on Alzheimer's and a new wonder drug known as tetrahydroaminoacridine, or better known as THA. They used a transition statement that not only reviewed, but previewed what they were going to next. So they said, now that we've described what Alzheimer's is, let's turn our attention to my second point, the wonder drug known as THA. That's up to you though. Now, anytime you take a statistic, a quotation, or anything off of research, whether it's a website or a textbook or anything, anytime you cut and paste and put it in your speech, you need to do what they call an oral citation. Sometimes they're called oral footnotes. You introduce those with the phrase, according to, or as found in. And if you do in an interview, you can say in a personal interview with. Now, you try to say all of these things as you can. If you can, that's called a fully developed source citation. Not all source citations are fully developed. In fact, a lot are partially developed. And this will feel like a mouthful. And to a degree it is, but it's what gives you what Aristotle called ethos, speaker credibility. So if I'm about to give a quotation, like let's say Dr. King's I Have a Dream, I need to say, according to Dr. King, in his I Have a Dream speech of August of 1968, stated, and then give you the quotation. Here's some examples. of source citations. Here's one right here. It's not fully developed. It gives you the source and the date. According to the Oregonian, December 6, 2015, and then it gives you the quotation. You always try to give us the source, definitely the dates. Always got to have dates, because otherwise we don't know if it's a year old or 20 years old. Now this was quoting from a newspaper. Here's one from a medical journal. As found in, there's that beginning phrase, as found in the New England Journal of Medicine, January 10th, 2016. 7.5 million Americans will be diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease this year. Because if I give a statistic that big and don't tell you where it's from, you have one of two assumptions. Either I forgot to cite my source, which I would have, or I did the study on my own, which I don't think I had enough time. And the rule of thumb has always been better to cite, because if you don't, you could be plagiarizing. This last one is a fully developed source citation. In a personal interview with, there's the organization, KATU, there's the position, news anchor, there's the person, Steve Dunn, there's the date, May 22nd, 2016. Stated, now here's what Steve Dunn stated, that more Oregonians get their news from ABC than any other news network. Now, I've given you a newspaper, a medical journal, an interview, but where most of my students are going to go is the internet. Notice the top one. According to CNN.com, last updated, there are still some websites that when you get on the website, it tells you the last date revised or update. If you have that, that's what you cite. If there's no last date updated or revised, a lot of internet sources might say 13 minutes ago, 4 days ago. If that happens, then you would cite the bottom. According to CNN.com, last visited or last accessed, whatever that date is. I tell students, if you got your information off of a website, log on the morning of your speech so that when you go to give that source citation, you can say something like, according to CNN.com, last access today states that. And notice I didn't go, according to http://www. If you do that, it'll take you too long. Anytime the audience hears .com, .org, .edu, they know it's a website. Now, once you're done with the body, the next thing you do is you go and you develop the introduction. The introduction has two objectives. Grab the attention and preview your topic and main points. So when you get the attention of the audience, you can get the attention by simply asking a question. You're not really looking for an answer. It's a rhetorical question. Something like, what comes to mind when you think of palm trees blowing in the breeze, crystal clear blue water, white sandy beaches, and a pina colada in your hand? Today, I'm going to inform you about, and all that does is get the audience trying to answer the question in their mind. Yeah, what do I think of when I think of that? You could arouse the audience's curiosity or stimulate their imagination, maybe with a short story. Something like, in the beginning, there were the misplaced keys and missed appointments. Little lapses of memory that inevitably come to all of us when we reach those golden years. But this is more like a thief coming into our home in the middle of the night, stealing our most prized possession piece by piece, until we become one of over 7.5 million Americans who are called the living dead. Today I'm going to inform you about the horrid world of Alzheimer's. I will first tell you what Alzheimer's is. Second, some of the symptoms, and finally some of the treatments for those who have this dreaded disease. Let's turn our attention to my first main point. What is Alzheimer's disease? According to, and then I can give you my first source citation here. Or you can just simply give a quotation. In the infamous words of John F. Kennedy in his 1960 inauguration, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Today I'm here to inform you about volunteering. I will do this by first, second, and finally. If you've caught on to what I'm doing, not only am I getting your attention, I'm also previewing my topic and my main points. Here's a very generic preview statement. Today I'm going to talk to you about, insert your topic right there. By first, list your first main point here. Second, your second main point. And finally, whatever your third main point is. Okay. The conclusion, like the introduction, has two objectives. Now remember, the introduction is to grab our attention and preview the topic and main points. The conclusion, the first objective is to review the topic and main points, and the final objective is to give a final thought. So in the introduction, the preview was, today I am going to talk to you about. The review, all you do is change the tense from today I am to today I have talked to you about. You insert your topic by first, second, and finally. Don't reinvent the wheel here. Just change the tense from am to have, and you've got your review statement. Then the last but not least, have a final thought. You just can't end with, that's it, I'm done, or my favorite, bye-bye, and then go back to the seat. And don't end with, so today I am talking to you about topic X, by first, second, and finally. No, you have to have a final thought. You can begin with asking a question and maybe end with a great quotation. A popular method today, though, is what we call the circular conclusion. Whatever you began with, you come full circle and connect back to it. So, if in the beginning I said, in the beginning there were the misplaced keys and missed appointments, right? I could say, so as we get older, in the beginning there may be misplaced keys and missed appointments, little lapses of memory that inevitably will come to us as we get older. But hopefully with this new wonder drug, hopefully none of us will become part of the living dead. And then you pause. And the audience will realize that elongated pause means you're done, and they'll start clapping. You don't have to say, I'm done, or thank you. And so, I hope that this helps you in the organization of your speeches, and I will catch you next time.